Well, after hosting an Olympic swimming competition in Lucas Oil Stadium, the Colts are making a well-needed change to Lucas Oil Stadium. All that and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And today we are talking about turf. This has been a heavy topic of conversation and debate amongst the NFL owners and players union, including our own center Ryan Kelly, being the head of the charge, moving from turf to real grass in every NFL stadium. Now, it is kind of a double standard. When there is a MLS or soccer match or Premier League match, it seems to be a priority of all stadium owners to suddenly be able to find a way to get grass in. And the reason for this is that there is a belief that artificial turf has caused significantly more non contact injuries than grass or even than what we will talk about in a minute, which is called matrix turf. Um, it does not seem to, the stats don't necessarily back this up, but there is a significant point in that when players play at MetLife Stadium, it does seem that ACL injuries go up, Achilles injuries go up, versus a stadium like Lambeau or like Arizona, where injuries aren't as common. So the Colts are making a well-needed adjustment. They hosted the Olympic swimming competition, having a pool, an Olympic-sized pool in the stadium for the past several weeks. That is now done, and the Colts are now moving forward with scheduled upgrades to their turf. Now, they are not going to real grass, though a lot of players and fans would like to see that. The Colts are going to be going towards what SoFi Stadium has kind of pioneered, which is this matrix turf or helix turf. And I'm going to pull up this article here that we pulled up from SoFi Stadium or from the Rams when they added this. So you'll see right here. This is what the Colts are going to be putting in theirs. After laying grass at Los Angeles Memorial Stadium over the last 4 years, Rams players' cleats will now be digging into Hellas Construction synthetic matrix turf this season and beyond. Laid down at SoFi earlier this month, the matrix turf with Helix will provide longevity, playability, and performance that is unparalleled in the industry. As we were going through the process, it took a couple years of ownership in the stadium to figure out what they wanted in there. Vice President, I think it's really because of player safety and performance that why we went this direction. Now, it does seem that this specific kind of turf is as much of a compromise as can be expected. Even though it is estimated that it would only cost a total of $52 million to replace all of the turf in all of the remaining NFL stadiums with a real grass. But it does seem that this, for longevity and playability, does seem to be going. And the numbers don't lie here either. The injuries related to artificial turf were significantly higher in theory. But in the NFL, this is a report from Dan Graziano over at Bleacher Report from Adam Wells. Here it says, despite ongoing calls from players for NFL teams to use grass instead of artificial turf in stadiums, a study from the league has found the rate of non-contact injuries from the 2023 regular season were similar on both surfaces. Per ESPN's Kevin Steifer and Dan Graziano's, league officials confirmed that data showed that non-contact lower extremity injuries, which is what the main concern is for going with turf or grass, is these lower extremities. So basically anything from the hip down, you're worried about the lateral motion, any sort of stop and start is where you're seeing a lot of these guys fall. And it is believed that grass is easier, but the incident rates per 100 plays for lower extremity injuries was 0.043 on synthetic turf and 0.042 on natural grass. The rates from 2022 were 0.048 and 0.035 for grass. So the 2022 season did show a significant difference between turf and grass, though the 2023 showed almost identical numbers between the two. While the data was collected by a joint committee made up of NFL officials and members of the NFL Players Association, Jeff Miller, the NFL's executive vice president for communications, public affairs, and policy, cited a need to look at all surfaces for ways to improve injury rates because of how similar the numbers were between grass and artificial turf. This does seem to be interesting because there is a big push towards towards grass. The numbers seem to be very, very similar, eerily similar, and especially after a year of such a drastic difference between the two. I mean, 0.013 is a significant difference when you're talking about these numbers. So, what is the Helix turf that the Colts are going to be using? The Helix turf is, we'll go into this. Um, the Helix technology is similar to memory and tenacity of muscle fiber, allowing the turf to bounce back after repeated use. The shape memory makes each fiber twist, and that twisted monofilament fiber in turn secures the infill to prevent migration and infill from spraying, creating an aesthetically pleasing playing surface. The texturized fiber does not reflect light, so it keeps a uniform look much more like natural grass. That aspect of it does seem to be more towards the aesthetic and not necessarily towards player safety. But next there is the real fill infill with a unique pea gravel base and dust-free SBR cuboidal rubber granules. Per Hella's website, the base facilities proper fiber support energy restitution and enhanced shock absorption and rapid drainage. That is for player safety. So it does seem that this is, again, as much of a compromise as you can expect given the circumstances. And I like that the Colts are going to be one of the first teams, or, among the first whatever teams to be doing this, because it shows that they're not afraid to pay what needs to be paid for the facilities, for the stadium to both look good and feel good, and be good for player safety. I think that's incredibly important, and it shows that the Colts are in the right direction of protecting their players and keeping them safe in all things. I think this is going to be good. When you've got a guy and you're wanting to, the Colts are on the rise as far as fandom goes. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are showing that the Colts are coming back and they're really good over the next few seasons. If you're going to have players that you're going to pay big money for, even not, you should just do it for players anyways. But if you're going to be one of the big market teams like the Colts intend to be in Indianapolis, then they need to do what's best for player safety. And I think that this is very important. Again, especially when one of the leaders for this charge is Colts center Ryan Kelly. Now, while I understand that this isn't the move towards real grass, I do think this is a step in the right direction, and it comes at a really good time. It comes when Anthony Richardson's coming back. You've got Jonathan Taylor looking to make a push towards a 2024 MVP run, much like he had in 2021. I think this is the step in the right direction, especially when you're getting a team that is both bigger and better and faster. When you're talking about moving in lateral motions, like the Colts, again, as you get players, you don't want to see what happened to Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Rodgers, guys who had significant injuries because of what is to be believed by a lot of players and experts to be because of artificial turf. And this matrix seems to be a good compromise and a step in the right direction. But we will see going forward on if this is the right move or if it was just a move that kind of was a scapegoat. But I think it's the right move, and I think it's good for Colts player safety.